Hi, and welcome to Career Magic. My name is Nitin Kulkarni, and today I am going to share with you three very powerful tips to manage your time. Not just to manage your time, but to make the best use of your time so that you become successful as you desire. These are really powerful tips. Ultimately, if we have to become successful, we have two primary resources. One is us. So for example, if I had to do it, my resource is me, my brain, my body, my capabilities, and the resources I have available to me. And then the second big thing I have available to me is time. So if I am able to use myself and deploy these capabilities over a period of time, make the best use of my time, then I will be successful. So I'm going to share with you these three extremely powerful tips. I'm assuming, so when I say this, I'm assuming you know what your priorities are. You know what needs to be done. But what is happening is that you are overwhelmed with everything that is coming at you, so you don't get time to focus on your priorities. Number one. Number two, you don't have the discipline to do it. So the tips I'm going to share with you, if you do this, if you find a way to do these three things, absolutely nothing can stop you from being successful. Okay? They are so powerful. So the first tip is that time management is a little bit of a misnomer. Time management sort of conveys the idea that you got to get the most out of your time. That is really not what you want to do. You don't want to cram as many things as possible in the available time to be able to get the desired output. Look at all of the successful people. They do work hard, but the key thing that they do is that they focus on their priorities and say no to or ignore all of the rest. So the first principle is to make sure that you are making time for your most important priorities. Sounds very simple, right? Very straightforward. You're making time for your most important priorities. So one of your most important priorities is learning new things. Another important priority is to have good relationships with family and friends. Another important priority is good health. Another important priority is career growth. Then these things should take the pride of place. You should be spending the bulk of your time on these things to make sure that you're moving these priorities forward. That's the first principle of time management, that you do not get as many tasks done as possible in the available time, wrong, but use most of your time in the service of your priorities. That is the most important thing. Number one. Number two, the second principle of time management is that you must move away from to-do lists and into a mode of weekly planning. I have tried to-do lists. I did try to-do lists for a long period of time in my life. They never work. I don't know anyone who is very effective with to-do lists. What happens to to-do lists? We make lists of things of tasks as they come. That list eventually becomes so big that we throw it away and start over. The other problem with a to-do list is we tend to focus on things in the to-do list that are pleasant and ignore the ones that are unpleasant, even if they are really important. And it's a really nice feeling to put a tick mark on the to-do list. So we focus on things that are easy to do or are pleasant and ignore the things that are unpleasant. They just don't work. Instead, the best practice is to do weekly planning. Weekly planning does several things for us. The first thing it does is that it moves us to a planning horizon which is a little bit longer than a day. If you just plan every day in the morning, one bad event or one unexpected event can completely derail what you wanted to get out of that day. And then you go to the next day. If this happens a couple of times, you get discouraged and you give it up. In a week is a much less volatile period of time because it's longer. One unexpected event is unlikely to derail the whole week. So even if you're not able to get something done on Monday, you may be able to get it done by Wednesday. So you have time to recover. You have time to adjust. So that is the first thing that a weekly plan does. The second thing that a weekly plan does is it allows you to look back at how the week went and look ahead at what you want to get done over these 7 days. 7 days is a meaningful amount of time in which you can actually make progress on most of your priorities. So that is the second thing that weekly planning does, is it allows you to do a retrospective, and then it allows you to look a little bit ahead and do some meaningful planning. The third thing that a weekly plan allows you to do, and this is really, really crucial, is think about your priorities, and think about your priorities along all of the role dimensions you have. You play multiple roles in life. You are a professional. You could be a member of a community. You are a friend. If you are married and have children, then you are a spouse, and you are also a parent. You also are a member of a family. So you have parents, you have siblings. So you have a lot of different responsibilities. Even at work, you may have two different roles. You may have a primary role where you're managing a team and delivering projects. But you may also have a role where you're working on a special assignment with a virtual team to deliver an important initiative for your company. So there are multiple roles you play. Weekly planning allows you to look at these different roles and say, okay, what are my priorities this week along these dimensions? And it allows you to parcel off chunks of time for important priorities next week. And it gives you a more wholesome plan than a daily plan, which is very volatile. You can't plan anything. So for example, if being fit and exercising is important to you, you think about the whole week and make time for exercising. You plan your meetings, etc. So first priority is best practice to get the most out of your time is to organize your time around your priorities. The second one is get into a weekly planning mode where every week, either on a Monday morning or Friday evening, you sit down and think about the next 7 days, put a plan together on what you want to get accomplished in that period. The third best practice is to allocate chunks of time to do important things. Now, let me explain that. It requires a little bit of an explanation, this particular best practice. We all think that multitasking is a great thing. We all need to multitask. Well, wrong. Multitasking, the way we think about it sometimes, really is very disruptive. Multitasking does not mean that you do 3 tasks at the same time, switching between tasks. That's very disruptive. Our brains are not built to handle this sort of disruption. You could do 3 tasks in a day, but not within a half an hour. So let me give you an example. So many people, working professionals, use Microsoft Outlook as their email client on their laptops. And then they have this little Outlook notifier that pops up and tells you that an email has arrived in your inbox. It's an extremely disruptive device. Why? Because you're sitting there working on something really important, working on a project, thinking through something, and this notification comes in, you are forced to look at it. It's right there in front of you. When you look at it, your brain is distracted from the important thing you're doing. You may, depending on what it is, click on it and go and look at it. Now, you're completely disrupted because now you're multitasking. And then you finish that, come back. Now it takes a little more time to refocus and you may be interrupted again. That's what I mean. So the key is to allocate decent chunks of time, which is at least half an hour, to doing meaningful things. For example, if you have allocated 2 hours of your time, learning is an important priority of yours. You have allocated 2 hours of your time to watch some learning videos and learn some new skills. Well, make sure that you are not interrupted at all in those 2 hours. So, allocate chunks of time to do meaningful, important things. If you do that, you will start accomplishing. Now, what are some things that get in the way of doing all of these things? Yeah. Some of the things is our inability to say no. For example, a friend comes in, I'm doing something important, a friend comes in and says, you know what, Nitin, let's go for a cup of coffee. I give in, go, interruption. There goes my time management. So we have to learn to say no, or tell our friends, hey, you know what, right now I'm busy. Could we do this after half an hour? The moment is gone. Your friend will probably go with someone else. And you stay focused on what you are doing. After some time, people will stop interrupting you because they'll understand how you operate. So try these 3 things and try these 3 things for a couple of months. Every week, sit down, do a plan, holistic plan around all of your roles. Make sure that you know your priorities and you're organizing time. So another thing that happens as a result of this is that you start organizing meetings to drive your agenda instead of going to all these meetings to follow other people's agenda. So if you are setting up more meetings to drive your agenda, you are more in control of your time. So try these 3 tips. See how it works out. I know that if you do this systematically, in a disciplined manner over a period of time, nothing, absolutely nothing can stop you from being very successful and introducing some magic in your career. So all the very best. If you like these tips, make sure you do like this video and subscribe to my channel. I keep posting these videos, so you will get a notification on what's coming next. So all the very best.